Senate will come to order. For an original motion, the chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Pursuant to Senate Rule 11B, I move to withdraw SCR 1609 from Commerce Committee for the following reason. Kansas' right to work law weakens unions and strips workers of their power. Strong unions mean higher wages, better benefits, and real freedom for all workers. SCR 1609 would support the right to unionize by repealing harmful right to work language from the Kansas Constitution.
You have another motion?
Yes, pursuant to Senate Bill 11B, I move to withdraw SB 179 from the Committee on Assessment and Taxation for the following reason. A child tax credit would help Kansas families to make ends meet. Families making $25,000 a year or less would receive $600 refundable credit per qualifying child, and the credit amount would decrease as adjusted gross incomes increase. Kansans thrive when families thrive. A state child tax credit pays for childcare, puts food on the table, and would make life more affordable for working families.
Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Senate Rule 11B, I move to withdraw Senate Bill 218 from the Committee on Commerce because the most important thing that can be done to put money back in people's pockets is raising the minimum wage in Kansas. The minimum wage in Kansas is $7.25 an hour, which is embarrassingly low and lower than nearly all of our surrounding states. SB 218 would raise the Kansas minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Senator Johnson, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Senate Rule 11B, I move to withdraw Senate Bill 216 from the Committee on Commerce. This bill establishes a system of paid leave for all Kansas workers. Paid family leave is a win for families and businesses. It leads to a stronger economy, healthier families, and thriving businesses, and provides greater equality for women. Paid leave means all workers can take time off to provide the care their families and loved ones need. All Kansans benefit from paid leave. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Those motions are in order. According to rule, they must lay over for 1 day, and they will be voted on tomorrow. Under the Order of Business Conference Committee reports, Chair recognizes Senator Sedgwick, Senator Erickson on Senate Bill 114.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Bill 114 is a bill that we heard earlier, and what it does is it allows students who are in virtual school or attend a non-accredited private school to participate in CASA-related activities. And what this bill also did was add the Kansas Academy of Math and Science, allow those students to participate as well. In conference, the Senate agreed to 2 amendments, one that permits the local board of education to adopt rules to allow those students to participate also in activities that are not directly related to the activity that they are participating in. The school board can make that policy, and also an amendment that says that if a student withdraws from a public school and becomes a homeschool or virtual school student, they cannot immediately then participate as a non-public school student in that same school or district. They have to sit out per CASA rules and guidelines. So with that, I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 114, and I will stand for questions.
Are there questions regarding Senate Bill 114? Chair recognizes Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you. Would the Senator for Sedgwick stand for a question?
She is.
Concerning the bill as it is now, that it's come through conference, could you expand on the part dealing with a student that is participating in a non-public school student who's participating in any CASA activity with the public school? What is the language now dealing with their ability to attend any other events at the school?
Senator Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Is the senator referring to those that are not directly related to the activity that they are participating in, or the activity that they are directly participating in.
Senator Mwanda.
Thank you. So I know there's two areas there. So would you start first with directly related and then second with not directly related?
Senator Sedgwick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. So currently, current law allows for non-public school and virtual students who meet the requirements of law to participate in activities that are regulated, supervised, promoted, and developed by KSHA, Kansas State High School Athletic Association. The one that is related to not direct activities is now that this would permit each school district board of education to adopt policies regarding qualifying students participating in district-sponsored events, ceremonies, programs, or other functions that are not directly related to KSHA activity. The board can make policies regarding whether they want to allow that or not.
Senator Mwanda.
Thank you for that explanation. So on the activities that are not related to the school activities that are not related to the KSHA activities, that becomes a optional for decision about how they will rate that for non-public school students.
Senator from Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. What this says, it says that local boards can adopt policies regarding how they want to deal with non-public school students participating in activities that are not directly related to the KSHA activity they're participating in.
Senator Mwanda.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification that they can do that they're not required to.
Further questions on Senate Bill 114? Seeing none, we will hold for final action. Chair recognizes Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens, on Senate Bill 199.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Bill 199 would permit year-round fireworks sales under certain conditions and make additional changes to law related to the sale of fireworks. The bill would also designate the existing Fallen Firefighters Memorial adjacent to the Kansas Firefighters Museum in Wichita as the official Fallen Firefighters Memorial of the state of Kansas, and would replace the existing Kansas Firefighter Memorial Advisory Committee with the Kansas Firefighter Memorial Council. And with that, Mr. Vice President, I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 199, and I will stand for questions.
Other questions from the Senator from Harvey? Seeing none, we'll hold for final action. Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage on House Bill 2039.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. House Bill number 2039 passed both houses unanimously, and there are three provider bills that fit very well together. So in conference committee, we added 2335 and 2280. 2039, if you recall, is regarding the physical therapist, occupational therapists, and speech language pathologists who work together as home health agencies, but they are not a facility. So it repeals the existing section that would require them to be credentialed as a facility. There were no changes. When we added the contents of 2335, you may recall it allows maternity centers to participate in the Healthcare Stabilization Fund, as it was difficult for them to find liability insurance. And finally, we added the contents of 2280. That was the emergency medical services bill that permitted ambulance services. So we did have an amendment to that one, and the amendment was a good amendment. It was the mutual agreement between the executive director for the Board of Emergency Medical Services and one of our senators. And the amendment would operate by, or allow, a emergency medical service provider, that there be one, and a driver. Since it's very difficult to find two volunteers who are EMTs in very small communities sometimes. So this gave them the ability to do that, but to notify the Board of Emergency Medical Services. That passed the conference committee with that mutual amendment. And with that, Mr. Chair, I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 2039 and gladly stand for questions.
Are there questions regarding Senate Bill, House Bill 2039? Seeing none, we'll hold that for final action. Chair recognizes Senator Montgomery, Senator Peck on Senate substitute for House Bill 2172.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate sub for House Bill 2172. What is 2172? The Conference Committee on 2172 creates a 16-member water program task force and a 5-member water planning work group. The responsibility of the task force and the work group is to study and make recommendations to the legislature on water policy and funding. Of this 16-member task force, 13 are voting members, 3 are ex officio members. At least one member of the task force must be from the 5 conservation districts. I personally believe we'll probably do better than have only one from some of the districts. We'll probably have more than one from all 5 districts. The task force is to make reports to the legislature in January of 2026 and January of 2027, and the task force will sunset on July 1, 2026. The bill spells out how the task force is selected and their specific responsibilities. It also spells out what groups are that the task force members are to be selected from across the state. Could get into a lot of details, Mr. Vice President, but I believe our caucus is caucused. I believe the minority caucus is caucused, so I'll be happy to stand for questions, Mr. Vice President.
Are there questions? Seeing none, we'll hold for final action. Chair recognizes Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson on Senate substitute for House Bill 2382.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate sub for House Bill 2382 is the contents of Senate Bill 275. This is the bill, the about 7 or 8 line bill that requires school districts in any course that they offer on human sexuality or human growth and development to show a 3-minute video, whether AI generated, or that shows the growth of a fetus. It also combines the contents of House Bill 2382, amended by the Conference Committee. This was the bill on the State Board of Education pay raise. Previously, the state board's pay was tied to the legislative pay. When we had our pay change, that created 2 separate statutes, so there's no longer that tie. The Conference Committee amended this bill to give the State Board of Education the autonomy to decide their pay structure free of the legislature involvement. So with that, I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate sub for House Bill 2382, and I'll stand for questions.
Chair recognizes Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Thank you much, Mr. Vice President. I appreciate it. I just wanted to ask, I know how conference committees can be, you know, with the 3 and 3, and I just, when we were talking about this in caucus, we heard both of them. I just wonder if the carrier of the conference committee report could help me understand the bundling process. I mean, you know, Mr. Vice President, you and many other members know that sometimes it's difficult to explain to our constituents what the mentality or the thinking is behind the germaneness, if you will, for lack of a better clarity between the two. I understand the 2 separate themes that we're having here. You know, one talking about the showing of these films to our children for their educational, or purportedly for educational purposes. But I don't understand how you link in the board pay with the school board pay, how those 2 fit in the same heading, Mr. Vice President. Do you understand it, sir?
Is that a question?
Well, I'm addressing the chair, but if anyone else could speak to that,
Senator Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This was brought up in conference committee. Per the reviser, the nexus is these both deal with pre-K-12 education.
Senator Wyandotte.
well, okay, yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank the carrier of it. I mean, it casts a broad net. I think it's fair to say that sometimes when we're attempting to explain to our constituencies or even to ourselves, if we vote on a particular bill, that part of it is so foreign inside of its same heading that it really kind of defies a certain level of logic as to why the two are in the same bill. And honestly, Mr. Vice President, this is one of those occasions for me I don't see, because they both deal with education. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but it is kind of funny how that is so diametrically on different ends of the sphere that they would be in the same bill. And I would hope that we would, for future conference committees, try to find a stronger germanity or a tightness of the same subject matters that are found, because these two don't match, and they really should not be considered, at least in my mind and that of probably many others, in the same measure. Thank you.
Senator Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I am wondering, as I look at this, and we talked a little bit about it, that we're talking, the first part of the bill is courses of instruction regarding human growth, and they all have to include this video. If a student is taking biology and they're taking physical education and they also have a health class, would they be required in the same year to watch that video 3 different times?
Senator Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Nothing in the bill excludes the local Board of Education from making those determinations.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm not sure that that's how I would read this, because it says if it offers a course, then as part of that course or instruction, you have to include the video. So not every student might be taking all 3, but if a student were taking all 3, then this is a situation where it seems like they'd have to watch it 3 times. I would prefer something that allowed that not for every course, but perhaps for every year. And I think this is perhaps more detailed than we need to be in terms of requiring instruction. I'll go ahead and have another question. Are there other agencies that we're asking for those members to set their own salaries?
Senator Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm not aware if there are others that do or not.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I was a member of, or have been a member of the legislature for a number of years, and the legislature had difficulty in setting our own salaries because it's a difficult vote to take, and I think we made a good decision to ask for another appointed group to review that. So since that didn't work for us as a legislative body, I'm concerned that we're asking the State Board of Education to have to do that. If they are able to do what had been done in the past, which was set salaries for the members of the State Board of Education consistent with the salaries for the legislature, is there an opportunity for an appropriation for those funds?
Senator Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. They would need to come to the legislature and ask for additional appropriation.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So in one sense, we're saying the bill allows them to determine the compensation, but in fact, it would be the legislature determining the compensation if they have to come to us to ask for funds?
Senator Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Well, they have two options. They can either take it out of the operating funds that they currently do through KSDE. If they want to increase their pay, they would need to find it somewhere else in their operating budget. Or if they don't like that option, they have to come to the legislature and ask for additional appropriation.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I'm concerned that then we're either saying you, as a member of the State Board of Education, have to say that your salary is more important than all the additional things that we have been asking our state board to do, or put off any increase in compensation for a year. So I do know that the House committee had set some specific numbers for board member pay, and I'm disappointed that this conference committee report did not adopt those proposals.
Further questions? Seeing none, we will hold for final action. We're now ready for final action. This roll call will take the following: Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 114, Senate Bill 199, House Bill 2039, Senate substitute for House Bill 2172, and Senate substitute for House Bill 2382. The clerk will read the titles.
Senate Bill number 114, an act concerning education. Senate Bill number 199, an act concerning fireworks. House Bill number 2039, an act concerning health care. Senate substitute for House Bill number 2172, an act concerning water. And Senate substitute for House Bill number 2382, an act concerning school districts.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Lazy. Blue. Bowers. Bowser. Glaze from Saline. Glaze from Sedgwick. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fag. Vascudo. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Holscher. Klemp, Cluse, Masterson, Murphy, Owens, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Rose, Reichman, Schmidt, Schallenberger, Shane, Starnes, Sykes, Thomas, Thompson, Titus, Tyson, Ware, Warren.
Has every member had an opportunity to vote? Does any member wish to explain their vote? Call the Senate's been requested. Seeing sufficient hands, the call is in order. Members will be in their seats. Sergeant at Arms will close the doors. The clerk will call the roll.
Holscher,
Everyone's voted, the call is raised. Is there further, does any member wish to explain their vote? I recognize the senator from Potawatomi, Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I vote no on Senate Bill 199 because I oppose the year-round sale of fireworks. I have the utmost respect for fallen firefighters and their families. I'm grateful for the sacrifices they've made. I fully support the memorial and the museum and all of the wonderful work that has been done.
Further explanation of vote? Chair recognizes the senator from Finney, Senator Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'd like to join with his permission the comments of the gentleman from Potawatomi.
So ordered. Senator Morati, Senator Starnes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. With his permission as well, I'd like to join with the senator from Potawatomi.
So ordered. Senator Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you. With the permission of the senator from Potawatomi, I'd like to join his remarks.
Senator Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I too would like to join, with his permission, the comments from the senator from Potawatomi.
So ordered. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Clays.
I too would like to join the comments from the senator from Potawatomi.
Senator Malign, Senator Argerbright.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I too would like to join the senator from Potawatomi with his permission. Thank you.
Further explanation of vote? Does any member wish to change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. "32 having voted in favor and 8 opposed the passage of Senate Bill 114, 28 having voted in favor and 12 opposed the passage of Senate Bill 199, 40 having voted in favor and none opposed Passage of House Bill 2039 and 2172, and 31 in favor and 9 opposed to the passage of House Bill 2382. Same having received the required constitutional majority are hereby declared passed. This time, I'm appointing the Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage, to replace Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich, Senator from Finney, Senator Clifford, to replace Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg, the Senator from Johnson, Senator Holscher, to replace Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco, as Senate conferees on House Bill 2045. Are there announcements? Senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we'll have a quick conference committee on for Fed and State with the House elections at 9 a.m. in room 144 South.
Senator Calley, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate and House Conference Committee tomorrow for Commerce will be at 8:30 in 159 South.
Senator Sedgwick, Majority Leader Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Republicans will caucus in our usual room at 9 a.m. in the morning. I yield to the Senator from Douglas.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Democrats will caucus at 9 a.m. in room 287 North. I yield back to the Senator from Sedgwick.
Senator Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Mr. Vice President, move the Senate adjourn until 10 a.m. on Thursday, March 27th, 2025.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.